Welcome back, everybody. Today is another town versus town comparison video. Today we're doing Roseville versus Lincoln, California, another Placer County head-to-head battle requested by all of you. I'm going to compare these two towns via 8 critical criteria, so by the end you're going to know which town is right for your family, starting with criteria number 1 right now, which is a community vibe or feel. When it comes down to community vibe or feel, this is really going to come down to the size of the places. Roseville is much larger and Lincoln is much smaller. Lincoln has more of a sleepy small town feel to it, and Roseville is a hustling, bustling suburban landscape. Lincoln has kind of a cute, historic old downtown that feels like small town Americana, and Roseville is definitely that sprawling suburban landscape. So it's really going to come down to what your family wants. If you want that little further out, more rural, more sleepy small town vibe, then Lincoln's going to be your jam. And if you need to be in the thick of it all with all the shopping and all the everything going on, fast-paced, everyday suburban environment, then Roseville's going to be the place for you. Criteria number 2 when comparing these two communities is housing costs. And there's not a ton of difference here, but Lincoln will get the win here at a median home price at the time of the recording this video in the fall of 2024 at $627,000 and some change, versus Roseville has a median home price of $652,000 and some change. So not a ton of difference there, but Lincoln does get the win as the most affordable Sacramento suburb on our list. Now, when it comes down to the types of houses and access to houses, both places have quite a bit of new construction going on. Both places have a lot of access to brand new homes and new home communities with great amenities. Both places actually also do have more of a historic downtown area and some older homes on offer at more reasonable prices as well. Now, where Lincoln differentiates itself a little bit is because it is that 1 or 2 bumps more rural than Roseville. It does actually have some ranches and some pretty large spreads out there. I think the most expensive home to sell in Lincoln in the last 6 months was a massive mansion on over 100 acres out there. So Lincoln does have sort of the sky is the limit, large acreage and ranches on offer too. That's a lot more rare in the Roseville area. When it comes down to housing prices, you're going to be able to get a reasonable house at the same price point in almost both of these communities. There's not much difference there. So it's going to come down more to the community vibe or feel or some of the other cost of living or recreation issues we're going to go over later in the video. When it comes to house prices, they're pretty darn close together. But if you are on a very tight budget and you're asking me where is the absolute cheapest Sacramento suburb that I can go to, Lincoln's going to be towards the top of that list. All right, right about now, you're wondering, who am I and why you should be listening to me about real estate, Lincoln, Roseville, or anything at all, really? And that's a pretty fair question. My name's Rich Curtis and I'm with eXp Realty. I've been selling homes in this area for nearly 20 years now, in markets ranging from the Great Recession to the COVID market insanity and everything in between. So when it comes to real estate in the greater Sacramento area, I've got you covered. My goal with this channel is to help you make the highest quality real estate decisions you can from the comfort of your couch. So to that end, let's jump right back into comparing Roseville to Lincoln so we can decide which one's best for your family. Criteria number 3 when comparing these two communities is population and size. So these communities are actually quite different in this regard, with Roseville having a little over 44 square miles of land to it and Lincoln having just over 23 square miles of land to it. That's quite a bit less. Roseville having a population of 159,000 and some change, and Lincoln having a population of 56,000 and some change. Roseville is the largest city in Placer County, and it is nearly 3 times larger population-wise than Lincoln and nearly double landmass-wise than Lincoln. So no matter how you slice it, the real major difference between these two places is Roseville is a real big city. Now, using the term city loosely, it's not an urban city. It's definitely a sprawling suburban environment with shopping malls and strip malls and intentional planned unit development, master plan communities, that sort of thing. Now, Lincoln, by contrast, is a smaller town. Does it still have subdivisions, planned unit developments, and master plan communities? Absolutely, it does. But it's just, no matter how you slice it, a lot less people and a lot less land mass. So that depends on what you're looking for your family. Do you want a larger environment with lots more people? Then it's Roseville 100%. If you're looking for a smaller, quieter environment with less people, then Lincoln wins hands down. All right, now this is the part of the video where I ask you for a very small favor, which is to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click the bell so you don't miss another video with crucial information to help you with your relocation. I've noticed that 96% of you, which is a staggering number, who are watching these videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. It's free, you can unsubscribe at any time, and it goes a long way to helping us here at the channel to continue making great content for you to help you decide where you want to relocate to. All right, now back to Roseville versus Lincoln. All right, criteria number 4 when comparing Roseville to Lincoln, California is traffic. And I'm gonna have to split this into 2 types of traffic: freeway traffic and surface street traffic, because there's gonna be a difference there in these 2 communities. Now, I won't bury the lead. When it comes to freeway traffic, hands down, Lincoln is going to be worse. It's going to have more freeway traffic, and you're gonna spend more time stuck in freeway traffic living in Lincoln than you will in Roseville. And here's why. Highway 65. If you're a local just watching this video for funsies, you're nodding your head along and saying, yes, I hate Highway 65. And if you're from out of town, it's something you should know. Highway 65 is a smaller, more rural highway, and it's the main access from Lincoln all the way down past Rockland into Roseville to get onto Highway 80 to go anywhere and do anything. And they just never anticipated how much people would love Rockland and Lincoln. These are very desirable places to live. They're gorgeous with a ton of natural beauty, great homes, reasonable prices, great quality of life, and so they're growing, and they've been growing massively over the last decade, and as such, Highway 65 just hasn't been able to keep up. Now, they've been working on that. They added lanes at the Highway 65, Highway 80 interchange, and I'm sure in the future they'll start to add lanes to the entire highway going all the way from Roseville to Lincoln. Hopefully, can't guarantee it, but I hope that's on the books, and they're working on that because it can be quite a jam up coming down from Lincoln to Roseville to that Highway 65, Highway 80 interchange. So if you're trying to get from Lincoln down to, say, the Roseville Galleria because you need to go shopping, not peak traffic times, 15 minutes, boom, you zip right down, you're good to go. Peak traffic times, 30 minutes plus to get from Lincoln down to the Galleria. That's a big difference. If you need to commute to Sacramento for work, you could be 45 without traffic, you'd be an hour and 15. And sometimes maybe even an hour and a half if you get real bad traffic. Because once you get down 65 onto Highway 80, you're still going to have the traffic on Highway 80 going down to the capital. Now, from Roseville, because a lot of Roseville can directly access Highway 80 and not have to use 65, and especially if they're living west of the 65-80 interchange in Roseville, they can pop right on 80 and zip right down to the capital, depending on where they are and how far west they are in Roseville. 15 to 30 minutes to the capital, easy peasy. So big difference in traffic. In a lot of cases in Roseville, you can get away without having to deal with Highway 65 traffic very often. If you're living in Loomis, you're dealing with Highway 65 traffic. It's going to be a part of your life. You have to factor it in. Now, a lot of you are relocating from the San Francisco Bay Area or the LA area. We get a lot of people from those areas. And still, Highway 65 traffic isn't going to be the kind of traffic you're used to. The 65-80 interchange might be akin to some bad traffic in the South Bay Area, San Jose, Cupertino kind of traffic. Not trying to get in or out of San Francisco at peak traffic time traffic, not trying to get through LA at peak traffic time kind of traffic. So it's still going to be better than you guys are used to, but you got to know if you're living in Lincoln, you're dealing with traffic. So, and we'll go over some more in the later parts of the video about where you shop and where you go to work and why that is. But just know Highway 65 traffic is going to be a big part of your life. Now we transition into surface street traffic. And when it comes to surface street traffic, then Lincoln, far and away, is going to get the win here. You do have enough grocery stores and retail stores in Lincoln to do most of your day-to-day shopping right there in Lincoln. And when it comes to the surface street traffic, at only 56,000 people out there and some change, you're going to do a much better job on the surface streets there than you are in Roseville. You're going to get around quicker. There's going to be less traffic. Your day-to-day is going to be easier in Lincoln than it is in Roseville. Roseville at almost 3 times the population and an absolute ton more shopping options. You just have more people zipping all around Roseville trying to get stuff done. And it's not just the Roseville people, because Roseville has major employers and major shopping options that we'll talk about later in the video. There's all the people from Rockland and Lincoln and Loomis and even Sacramento coming into Roseville to get stuff done. And that really jams up that surface street traffic in Roseville. So when it comes to your commute, you're getting in and out of town, then Roseville gets the win, hands down. When it comes to your day-to-day surface street traffic, then Lincoln gets the win, hands down. So it just depends. Are you going to be commuting to Sacramento? Then that could be a real factor for your family, and you might prefer Roseville. Do you work at home and do most of your day-to-day shopping at local stores in town? You're a remote worker? Then Lincoln might be a lot better for you because you won't deal with that really jammed up Surface Street traffic in Roseville. You'll have to decide which one will work best for your family. Criteria number 5 when comparing these two communities is schools. And I won't bury the lead here. The schools are pretty great in both places. You're looking at probably between a 7 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 for most schools in both communities. Now, where it differs is Roseville's bigger, way bigger, like we've talked about. And so it has a lot more schools, and as such, it will have more school options. It'll have more alternative school options. It'll have more charter school options. It'll have just more public school options. Bigger population center, more schools, more options. So if you're looking for more options or more diverse options for education for your family, Roseville will get the win there. But when it comes to scores and quality of the education, the two places are going to be pretty well on par. Now, with less options in Lincoln, if you did find that one of the schools your kids had to go to didn't meet your needs, it can be more challenging to place them somewhere else. And you may have to try to find a school of choice or a charter school in one of the other communities, Rockland or Roseville, and then drive them out of town to go to those schools because of those less options. So it depends on your family. If you're just a straight up public school, no worries kind of family, then Rockland or Roseville will be fine. If you're already having your kids on some alternative schooling tracks and that particular style of alternative schooling just isn't available in Lincoln, then Roseville might be the place for your family. If by the end of this video you still aren't sure if Roseville's right for your family or Lincoln's right for your family, or even Placer County, or you're trying to decide between Placer County, Sacramento County, El Dorado County, feel free to reach out to me via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below. Like I said, I've been selling homes here for nearly 20 years and I've helped hundreds of families just like yours decide where to land, and I'm always happy to help. Criteria number 6 when comparing these two communities is cost of living. Now, of course, the largest single line item on anybody's monthly budget is their mortgage or housing costs, and we've already established that the two communities are relatively close together in that regard, with a $627,000 median home price up in Lincoln and a $652,000 median home price down in Roseville. Depending on your taste and what you choose, you'll probably get a home within about the same price range in both communities, which means then your taxes are going to be about the same in both communities. Where they're going to differ, though, is in insurance, your hazard insurance for your home, homeowner's insurance. Now, because of fire risk and fire scores in the state of California, homeowner's insurance has become an issue everywhere in the state, but with urban and suburban environments having much cheaper insurance and more rural environments having more expensive insurance. So the cost of hazard or fire insurance really is not likely to be an issue for you in Roseville. However, as we've discussed, Lincoln has some more rural pockets with properties on acreage that are further out from town. Some of those properties may have higher fire risk scores and as such may end up having a higher cost of your monthly hazard insurance. So although you're about the same on housing costs, Lincoln may cost you more in terms of your hazard insurance. But the biggest and the number one difference between the two communities in terms of cost of living is going to come down to the cost of power. Lincoln, unfortunately, is on PG&E for power, and PG&E is essentially the most expensive power in the state of California. I know that personally, where I live in Placerville also has PG&E for power, and it is very, very expensive. Now, places just outside of where I live, like Folsom, has SMUD, and it's very, very cheap, almost 50% of the cost of PG&E. Roseville has Roseville Electric, which essentially is almost the same cost as SMUD, which comes in, as I said, about 50% of the cost of PG&E. So the difference in your monthly cost for electricity is going to be close to 50% cheaper in Roseville than it is in Lincoln. Now, when we're talking about large houses in very hot places, these are places that are in the 90s for a good portion of the summer and in triple digits for a chunk of the summer, and you're running the air conditioning a lot, that can be a pretty big bill and can make a pretty big impact on your monthly budget. So if you're very sensitive to the cost of power, then the Roseville will get the win hands down over Lincoln. For folks, say, coming up from LA who are used to like a Southern California Edison rate, Roseville Electric is going to be much more like what you're used to, and PG&E is going to be massively more expensive than you're used to. there are other differences between PG&E and SMUD as well that come down to quality of life. PG&E has grid problems, and they have public safety power shutdown events where they'll shut your power down for a few days because of wind or fire risk, or where they'll have rolling brownouts because of too much draw on their grid. These are things that Roseville Electric just doesn't experience. So not only is your power half the cost in Roseville than it is in Lincoln, it'll also be more stable and less of a pain in the backside in Roseville than it is in Lincoln. So that's something you should consider in deciding between the two communities. Criteria number 7 when comparing Roseville to Lincoln is recreation. And here, except for one particular sport, Roseville is going to get the win with a massive 87 public parks and tons of miles of bike trails. Now, Lincoln is just a smaller place, and by contrast, they have just 23 public parks and a lot less bike trail options. So when it comes down to traditional day-to-day recreation, Roseville gets the win. Roseville also has some extra little fun stuff like Golfland Sunsplash for the kids and some things like that. It's just a bigger place, so no matter how you slice it, more parks, more options, more fun things to go and do with the kids. Now, the caveat to this is when it comes to golf. Lincoln is a great place for golf enthusiasts. Now, I have to caveat this by saying I'm not a golf guy. I'm an outdoor adventure sports guy. Whitewater rafting, kayaking, snowboarding, rock climbing, that's my jam. But a ton of my family are really into golf, and lots of my clients over the years are really into golf. And hands down, my golfing clients tend to gravitate towards Lincoln and Rockland because they are great communities for golf. So if you're a golfer, Lincoln is going to be far and away better for you than Roseville. You've got great courses right there in Lincoln with Lincoln Hills and Turkey Creek and Cataverdera, but within a 20-minute drive of Lincoln, you've got between 27 and 34 golf courses that you can access depending on the year, who's open and who's going private and who's going public with the golf courses. But there's a massive amount of golf courses within a 20-minute drive of Lincoln. So for the golfers out there, hands down, Lincoln wins over Roseville. Criteria number 8 is employment when comparing Roseville to Lincoln, and really when comparing any communities. You gotta eat, so you gotta work to live. And when it comes to employment, Roseville far and away is going to have a lot more employment options if working in the same community you live is important to you. When it comes to commute options, if you're willing to drive a little bit further, they're both gonna have access pretty much to the same broad and diverse job market in the greater Sacramento Valley. Statewide in California, the Sacramento Valley has one of the most large and diverse job markets anywhere. It is actually a great place to get a job. Now, let's go over the differences. In Lincoln, other than education jobs and a few local retail jobs and a couple of big box stores, there's not a lot going on out there for employment. So you're probably gonna drive down to Roseville for employment anyway. So Roseville just naturally gets the win there because at peak commute times, you're looking at a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, depending on how deep down into Roseville you need to go to work. Now, when it comes to Roseville, you've got major employers there. You've got Kaiser and a lot of health infrastructure that goes with Kaiser. So there are plentiful healthcare jobs there. You have a ton of retail with the Fountains and the Galleria and all of the other big box retail around Roseville. So you've got a ton of retail jobs down there, and you have a bigger and broader and more plentiful school district there, so you have a lot of education jobs there as well. So for living and working in the same community, there's no doubt Roseville gets the win there. Now, both places you can also commute to Sacramento. Roseville's going to take you, half the time or a little less than half the time to get to Sacramento than it would from Lincoln, so you have to account for how you feel about long commutes. But both of them have access to the Sacramento job market, which has all the state capital jobs, all the political jobs, a ton of restaurant and retail jobs, and a massive health infrastructure, a ton of healthcare jobs as well. So in either community, you have access to that broad, diverse Sacramento job market. But if working in the community you live and not having a commute matters to you, you're gonna have a way easier time doing that in Roseville than you will in Lincoln. All right, that wraps up our discussion of Roseville versus Lincoln. And I hope this information has helped you decide which community is right for your family. Maybe you're still not sure and you need to do a deeper dive into one of these, or maybe you are sure and you want to do a deeper dive and learn more about the one you've picked. Or maybe you aren't sure at all whether you want either of these communities. Well, you can go deeper by clicking this video right here for the pros and cons of living in Roseville. Or you can click this video right here for the pros and cons of living in Lincoln. And if you want to see other towns in the area compared in a head-to-head battle just like this one to see if one of them might be right for you, you can click this playlist down here, which will have Lincoln and Roseville compared to many of our other Sacramento area suburbs. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for making it to the end with me, and I'll see you on the next one.